Hey guys, so today's video is going to be about Onision. I had a couple of people ask me what my opinion of him was. I have a couple of notes on my phone, so if I look down, that's what I'm looking at. Okay, so the first thing I really want to say is that this is my history with Onision, just so you guys know where I'm coming from. So I began following Onision, I think I want to say 4 or 5 months ago. I'm horrible with time. Either way, when I started following him, like when I subscribed to his channels, I did not know anything of him except that he was one of like the big names of YouTube. So I didn't know anything about his history. I didn't know anything about his past behavior. I knew pretty much nothing except for the most current videos that were out. In his comments, I would always see people saying, "You're a psycho, you're manipulative, you did this, you did that." And when I saw that, honestly, my opinion was, I'm not going to think anything bad of Onision until I see proof. And a lot of the older videos that I found where people were trying to say that he was manipulative or where people were trying to say he was a good person, there was very little evidence on either sides, especially because manipulation and being an abuser is very hard to document unless you're in the relationship yourself. It's very hard to just find receipts of that on the internet. So anyways, I decided to kind of give him a blank slate until I find proof that to me says, okay, this is not a cool person. So now I'm going to talk about the issues I have with him now that I've found more information and now that I've actually spoken to him one-on-one. If you're interested on seeing that, I'm going to link the videos below and I'll explain later in this video what exactly happened between myself and Greg. So one of the first things that I found that I didn't like was his history. I never really liked how public he was with his relationships, and everyone can do whatever they want because it's their relationship, but that's one thing that made me uncomfortable because anytime he was explaining all these personal things, I felt like, why am I seeing this? You know, it just feels like something that should be contained within your house walls, especially now that he has a kid or kids. It's always very secretive. A second thing that I didn't like is one of his previous relationships with Shiloh. If you look, I actually have a link that a subscriber gave me giving like his whole history. I'm gonna put that below, so if you don't know who Shiloh is, it'll explain it there. And pretty much at one point, Shiloh had this episode where she forgot apparently the past 3 years of her life and she was freaking out and she didn't recognize Greg and she was just like crying and really emotional, and he filmed it and put it online. And in the video, he's like, oh yeah, this is like for her to, for her so she can see what happened. And I'm like, well, if that's the case, why would you post it online? Like, that's such an incredibly personal fucking thing to post. Can you imagine you having an episode where you forget everything that's happened in the past 3 years and you're freaking the fuck out, and then someone puts it online? Like, if it's for her, then just show it to her, and there's no need for any one of us to see it. And then in terms of Shiloh, a thing that I didn't like relates back to the first point where he was sharing so much information about that relationship and about that breakup, especially with her health issues. I can understand the frustration that he felt because a lot of things did transpire, but at the same time, I don't know, it just didn't feel like a mature thing to do to put it all online, especially because he knew she was going to get some kind of backlash from that. The next point is Billie. So if you know anything about Onision, you know about the whole Billie drama, and pretty much Onision and his wife, Lainey, had a third person in their relationship called Billie, and she was 19 at the time, so significantly younger than Onision. And a whole lot of drama happened, like they'd break up and get back together, and then pretty much Greg said that she was a liar and a druggie when really she just smoked weed for anxiety, as far as we all know. And he said that he would take her back if she shaved her head or tattooed "I'm a liar" on herself. And that was a huge controversy because that kind of behavior was very scary to me. And there were texts of proof, and Billie talked about it too, so it's out there now. It's not speculation anymore as far as I'm concerned. And that whole thing just really disgusted me, honestly. Obviously, we don't know what's going on between the walls of their house, but Greg did make it very public, so like he even has a video explaining exactly what happened. And the thing is, when he explains what happens, he doesn't explain how it is that he was treating Billie. And that always made me very uncomfortable, because when Billie would ever speak out about it, she would get thousands of Onision fans telling her to shut up and that she was a liar and she was a whore and whatever. And just like the way that that whole issue was managed, I really didn't like. It just made me feel very uncomfortable, and it made me feel like all the comments that I was reading about him being manipulative and verbally abusive were true. So, the breaking point here, we're done with my list. The breaking point. What happened in Manchester? Okay, so at the time when I was following Onision, I think I'm still subscribed to him actually. I don't know if I unsubscribed. I just don't watch it anymore. Anyways, at the time when the Manchester thing happened, I had been a Patreon of Onision for I think a month or two, and I was donating $1 a month. Because back at that point, I thought he was a straightforward person. I appreciated his opinions. I didn't agree with everything on him by any means, but I didn't disagree enough in a moral way to be like, okay, I don't want to associate with this person anymore. However, what happened was that when the Manchester thing happened, he made a lot of very problematic comments, and I'll look for the video and put it in the description if you want to see. But pretty much what he was saying is that everyone was worrying about Manchester, but the people who were like all worried about Manchester were fake because they're not worried about everyone else who dies in the world. And that really pissed me off for two reasons. First of all, it's impossible to acknowledge every single person who dies in the world, because then honestly we'll spend our whole life on fucking Twitter being like, I am sorry for this tragedy, I'm sorry for this tragedy, I'm sorry for this tragedy. Also, TV, the media, does not cover every tragedy equally, and that's not fair by any means, but it's a fact. And we just have to accept that and try to find the news by looking at different sources, but realistically, the media covers certain news way more than others. This is old news. Secondly, I did not appreciate how he was pretty much insinuating that he knows what I'm thinking or what you're thinking when you mourn Manchester. When I was sad about Manchester, I didn't make any posts on social media because I'm not really that kind of person. I keep things to myself in that area. But he was claiming that everyone who made posts on social media was being fake and just wanted attention. And he was saying like, oh, did you know that the same day that that happened, 43 toddlers died, and that the day after this amount of people died? And I really had a problem with that kind of mentality, because then again, you see, it's very black and white, because it's like, just because I mourn or you mourn Manchester, it doesn't mean I'm not mourning other tragedies. You don't know what I'm thinking, and you don't know if I'm genuine or not, right? So anyways, because he made these statements in the video, I was not pleased. A lot of people were not pleased. So I decided I didn't want to be a patron anymore. And I decided that because, like I said, before we disagreed on things, but at this point it was a moral division that I was not willing to overlook. And when that happened, he ended up messaging me, and we had a whole back and forth where he pretty much started trying to gaslight and manipulate me in the conversation. And that's kind of when I started seeing this alternate side of him. Like, I had taken away my pledge, not aggressively being like, oh, this guy's a fucker, but it was more like, I don't agree with this. I don't feel right giving money to someone that has this moral difference to mine. So that's it. And then when he talked to me, he became very aggressive. And I'm gonna put the links below, but I have 3 videos showing my messages and showing his messages in reply. But once this happened, I really decided that I should look into it, and seeing his behavior towards me, when I heard of the behavior towards Billie or Shiloh, I was just kind of like, I see it now. So yeah, that's really my take on him. Obviously, there are a lot of things I don't know because I don't live with them, so a lot of times Greg and Lainey say that he's a different persona when he's online compared to when he's not, because seeing how he acted towards me on the Patreon shit, I don't know, guys. But yeah, that was my opinion on him. I'm sorry I didn't use any clips, but he likes to copyright things, and I know that because he's done it to me. So yeah, I'd be really curious to know what you guys think about all these situations, or just on him in general. And as usual, if you have any recommendations of what you want to see next, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you to all the new people who are here. I've honestly received so many nice comments these past few days, and I'm really kind of shocked because I know this sounds super cliche, but I was really kind of shocked because I'm like, wow, like people think I'm an interesting person to watch, which is kind of groundbreaking in my mind. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching and have a good day.